So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, and their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. This afternoon, I'm delighted to have with us Amy Stokes-Waters, who's CEO at ESC, the cyber escape room company. So, firstly, Amy, thank you for spending a bit of time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself at ESC, what you do, how you help people, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, cool. Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Stokes-Waters, as you said, the CEO of the Cyber Escape Room Company. So we provide, well, you might guess the name's kind of on the tin, right? We provide escape room activities, but with a cybersecurity twist. So that's to help people learn about cybersecurity, but through a bit more of an imaginative, interactive way.
Brilliant. That sounds really fascinating. My daughters love escape rooms. I've done a few with them, but this is specifically to help people understand. Is that the sort of what you need to know about making sure that we are secure on a regular basis?
Yeah, so we work with a lot of big companies and then they use them for their internal security awareness training. So some companies are using them as kind of like an in part of their induction so they can introduce people to cybersecurity concepts from the get-go.
Brilliant. So you're making something entertaining
Yeah.
of something that's really important that people understand the issues
That's
around cybersecurity.
something that's really important and usually for the majority of people really bloody dull. So yeah, so we've tried to make it a bit more exciting.
Yeah, it's really fascinating because I can sort of get the idea of as having done a few escape rooms, that idea of trying to work out codes and themes and stuff. And this is showing how that's fascinating. So maybe if we start, Amy, talk a little about your background, how you got into business, and why this particular one.
Yeah, I mean, I've always worked in IT, so I got my degree, if we go that far back, is English and French, so nothing to do with IT at all. But
Okay.
I've always been quite tenacious and determined. So I just went through my mum's LinkedIn contacts one day when I was at uni and said, "Give a job, give a job, give a job." Someone gave me a job, and eventually got one in IT doing project management. So I started out there, moved into sales because I'm pretty gobby, and got headhunted into sales. And then, yeah, from there, realized that I preferred doing marketing actually, because that made the customers come to me rather than me go to them. So then I learned a bit about marketing.
Right,
Uh, and then, yeah, started a business with a guy that I knew at the time. So when was that? 2021, I think.
right.
Um, we were doing some we were doing some stuff around the training space, but not the escape rooms. That kind of idea came out of one of my friends said, "Could you build us an escape room for this event?" And I went, "Yeah, go on, then I'll give that a go." Because I usually say yes to everything. You do in a small business, don't you? You
Brilliant.
go,
Absolutely.
yeah, we'll work it out. So
Brilliant.
yeah, built that and then realized that actually it was a pretty good idea. So pivot that word again, pivoted the whole business into just focusing on this.
Wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. And so when you were growing up, is this what you foresaw yourself doing, or did you have other plans at that point?
Definitely not. No, I think when I was younger, I was really boring. I wanted to be an accountant.
Brilliant.
So no, I don't. I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I was saying at school, no one ever kind of tells you that you could be a business owner.
Yes.
That never got given to me as an option.
No, that's really interesting, actually, isn't it? It's all about careers, about who you're going to work for, and yet, you
Who are you
know,
going to work for, and what uniform are you going to wear? Because they're always like, go be a doctor, go be a nurse, go be a fireman, go be a
yeah.
whatever. But it's always something with a uniform for some reason.
It's really interesting actually because I've met quite a few people doing this, and a lot of them, not all of them, but quite a few of them talk about sort of knowing they were entrepreneurial at an early age and knowing they wanted to have a
Mm.
business, but not necessarily knowing or having a particular choice about which one. But you're right, in schools we don't really even talk about businesses. I mean, we do business studies, but there's still typically an expectation that you're going to work for somebody else.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Like it never crossed my mind once at all that I could own a business until someone said to me, you can just start one, can't you? And it's like 12 quid. And I was like, what? That cannot be the only barrier to entry. Turns out it is.
Yeah, it is really, to be honest. Yeah, owning a company is very, very straightforward. I guess it's what you do with it next is the
Yeah.
key issue. And so looking at how you've grown the business that you have so far, what are some of the biggest issues that you've had to overcome to date?
I think some of this because everything that we do is physical escape rooms. We had an issue with scalability to start with, but we've kind of overcome that, A, by just buying loads more stuff.
Right.
Um, B, by changing the business model slightly so it's not just us delivering them. We also can send them out in a box now so customers can run
Oh,
escape
wow.
rooms themselves. And then we've just started building our first digital escape room as well. So that will be entirely done on WhatsApp for the first iteration at least.
Wow.
Um, so we can kind of scale out a bit easier. But yeah, I think having physical products is the issue is always going to be scalability, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And whether it's from challenges or the successes you've had, what are your biggest learnings about running and growing a business?
Uh, it's not as easy as you kind of think it is when you first start. You're like, oh yeah, it's just 12 quid. I can start the business. That's it. But then I remember on the first day that we kind of started it, I sat there and went, shit, where am I going to get some customers from? Like, how does, I mean, despite the fact that I've worked in sales and marketing for years, I still sat there and went, yeah, but it's like starting from nothing. I've got no referenceability anywhere. I've just got to magic it out of nowhere. So yeah, I think that was probably the biggest learning curve, working out how to get people on board and get people bought in. But yeah, it kind of snowballs from there, so that's all right.
Brilliant, brilliant. And what are the biggest things you've learned about running a business? What are some of the things that have really struck you?
Um, do you know, I think it's not to limit your own kind of objectives and goals. So
Yep.
when I started the business, I was like, right, okay, we'll be working probably just in like England, in the UK or whatever. But within three, so we rebranded and restarted the whole business again just over a year ago.
Right.
And in so we to just focus on the escape room stuff. And in March last year, I was in South Africa twice running escape rooms with them.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of yeah, I had not really thought about that might be the direction that the business went in, but it turns out it did. But I'd not dreamed big enough to think that. So I think that's one of the things that you've got to think that you've got to not do, which is not limit your own. Pro-
Yes. And I think not allow other people to limit us.
Hmm.
I was told a while ago, and I thought it was really relevant when people say you can't do that or you shouldn't do that. What they're telling you is what they wouldn't do or couldn't do, not
Yes.
what you can't do. And it's a
Mhm.
really good point. It's totally fine that you would do it, but you don't need to give me that advice because you don't know what I'm capable of or not capable of.
Yeah, I'm reading a really good book at the moment called Playing to Win. Um, the Procter and Gamble ex-CEO who kind
Yes.
of it's all about strategy. It's a really interesting book, but they say in your like aspirations, so that's one key part of your strategy. It's like you're much better off having a big goal that you don't think is achievable than having one that's too small.
Yes. Yeah, I think there's that the phrase if you shoot for the stars, you might hit the moon.
Hmm.
And I think one of my colleagues said a little while ago. She said, "But if you what she said, if you aim for the trees, you might hit you might end up in the bushes."
Yeah.
I don't know how relevant that is, but yeah, it's like because I love really big goals, and I work with lots of people that set them, and it's like they're inspiring, aren't they? Of
Hmm.
big goals are inspiring. No, average goals are just things you're probably going to achieve anyway, so they're
Yeah.
not really going to draw us forward. They're really just going to be, yeah, what's I'm going to do. But
Yeah, we've just been doing our 5-year plan and I showed it to the board and they were like, no, go bigger, bigger than that.
brilliant. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, why not? So you're operating, so you're already operating internationally, as is what you said. That's and
Yeah, we've got operations set up in South Africa, so we've got a load of kit over there. I've got a girl that works for me there, and then I've got a couple of partners that I'm working with that are kind of pushing the sales over there. So yeah, we've got quite a nice presence over there now, and we also, as part of the marketing efforts for the business, we've got a separate brand that we run events and conferences with.
right.
So we're going global with the conferences as well this year. So we're doing two in South Africa, two in the UK, and then one in Texas.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I mean, just for anyone that might be interested in it, how did you get your first I don't know, get the first business in South Africa or wherever else it was? Was it
Um,
something you went for or did you get inbound marketing or
no, so currently all of the work that we do comes from inbound leads,
right?
um, which is nice. But I do a lot of networking on LinkedIn, so I've got like 25,000 connections now on LinkedIn, which is a bit crazy.
Well,
So when I talk about things, I'm sure lots of people think, "Oh God, here she is again." But yeah, I have a lot of conversations on there. And it was just by chance I was talking to a guy who's South African, and he was like, "Oh, I know a load of people that would love this over there,"
Brilliant.
and then kind of just networked my way through to doing a deal with them.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Absolutely wonderful. And as you say, it's like if you don't limit yourself, then why wouldn't you be working out there?
You
Absolutely.
know, there was a moment when I was stood at the train station waiting to go to South Africa, and I was like, "Oh my God, what am I doing?"
Yeah, I've never been, but I know it's a very interesting place. I do have a client that works in South Africa as well as over here, and it's I know it's a very interesting place to go. But I'd love to visit at one point. Um, and you're probably aware we're a business coaching organisation. I'm keen to know who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's in business, sport, or life in general. Who's had the biggest impact on you?
So I don't think I've necessarily had anyone be a specific coach. Like I've never employed anyone as a coach kind of thing, but I've got lots of advisors, I guess. But I think weirdly, my mum is probably the one that's had the biggest influence on me because obviously I'm a girl and my mum's a girl. And seeing her go out and succeed at work has
Brilliant.
helped me to kind of have that aspiration. Whereas I know some other women maybe don't have a positive female role model in their life who are doing well in business.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant, wonderful. And whether it's from your mum or anyone else, do you have any favourite quotes or sayings about business or success in general?
Yes. Good things come in like good things come to those who put the effort in.
Yep, bang on, bang on. It's yeah, it's so
Or
important.
or alternatively, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah, that's a great one, isn't it? Yeah, it's just isn't that funny? How do look I get absolutely brilliant. And what would you say, Amy, you've learned about yourself so far?
I think I've probably learned that I need to take a break more often because Jesus Christ, I do a lot of work. But I think I've also learned that I actually can. There's a lot of things that I probably thought I couldn't do previously that I actually can. So a lot of technical skills that I've managed to develop. Having a background which is completely non-technical, I
Yes.
have managed to develop some quite technical products and things like that. So yeah, they're just understanding my own capabilities, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, and I guess going back to that point earlier about not being limited, it's like not let's not limit. So everything is achievable. There's a great a phrase or quote I think from a while ago, and it was just basically if anybody, if somebody's done it, then so can I.
Mm,
And it's a great way of looking at that very, very, very little is impossible, and especially if it's already been done by somebody else.
mm, definitely.
Absolutely fascinating. And so, looking forward a little bit, what does the future look like for you guys, Amy? And what challenges do you think you might face, if any?
So going forward, we are going to expand our digital platform. So we'll have a bit more of a wider reach, which then hopefully will mean that we can go a bit more international than we currently are. Because we can do translations and if it's just a digital based escape room. So that'll be
Cool.
cool. If we can, yeah, that will be a part of the strategy for the next 5 years. I mean, challenges, there's all sorts of things could go wrong with that, I guess, in there.
Well, I mean, it seems like you're already on it already. So where internationally do you think you'll be broadening into it? I mean, you mentioned obviously South Africa, but also the US from the events point of view. Do you have a plan of different countries to move into, or are you going to?
Yes, I mean, the primary focus is the UK because there's still quite a lot of the market that we've not
Yes,
touched at all. So that's where our primary focus is. But then yeah, we'll be looking at South Africa, Western Africa, where we've already kind of started making contacts, and then the US will probably be
brilliant.
the big one to try and land. I mean,
Um,
we have done some work. We have done a bit of work over in the US, but not extensive. So yeah, it would be nicer to broaden out a client base there and get some people on the ground.
and what does a sort of a perfect client look like for you? What does A grade look like?
So currently we're working with most of the big insurance companies, so like LV,
Right.
Admiral, yeah, those kind of guys. So it's people that are interested in innovation,
Yep,
um, enterprise level customers usually. So usually 1,000 plus users,
yep.
um, and then yeah, insurance and financial services is where we've been having historic quite a lot of success. Which is weird because I thought financial services was really bloody boring, but it turns out they're all quite interesting.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And I'm keen to know what you'd say to anyone that was thinking of going into business right now.
Um, well, so I do always say you can start a business with 12 quid, but it doesn't mean you should. That doesn't mean you should.
Great. Great
If
point.
you've got to have the determination there to make it work. So if you're not willing to put the hours in to make it work, it's not going to work. You get out of it what you put into it.
Brilliant. I like that phrase. You reminded me, yeah, that idea that you just because you can doesn't mean you should. So I saw a rugby player have a quote a while ago, and I don't know what he was asked about, but he said, "Let's get it right. Knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad."
Yeah.
I don't know how useful that is. And if you started again, Amy, is there anything significant you think you might do differently?
Um, I'm going to have one of them really cringy answers where I say probably not because the lessons that I've learned have got me to where I am now. So I probably needed to make some of the mistakes that I've learned so that I know what the hell I'm doing now. If it was all smooth sailing, it probably wouldn't look like it does.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. I think, if where we are is where, is a good place, then if we'd have changed any of those decisions, then maybe we wouldn't be here. So it is one of those things about we've got where we are by all the decisions we've made and actions we've taken.
Mm.
And yeah, all the learnings, unfortunately, learnings typically come with the challenges and the problems we have. But our I remember our founder saying to me a long time ago, it's always stuck with me, was he believed he's a very successful guy, and he said, I believe I'm as successful as I am because I've made more mistakes than anybody else I know. Not despite, but it was literally the willingness to try stuff and see and
Yeah,
understand.
you've got to take risks. And the team that I've got, I always say to them, I don't mind you failing, but just fail quickly.
Great. Yeah.
Like, fail fast, and then we'll move on from it, and then we'll find a way to succeed. If you're not trying new things out, then you stood still, aren't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think if we're not experiencing problems or failures or challenges, then we're not growing fast enough.
Hmm.
If there's no problems, we're probably not stretching ourselves. So uh,
Yeah.
probably do a bit more. And and finally, what would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you, Amy, if you could go back and do so?
Oh God. I'm sure there's loads of stuff there about not kissing some of them boys that I kissed. That might make things a bit better. Yeah, I think I, I guess I probably wouldn't want to give myself any different advice because I think the way that I did things was
Yeah,
has turned out all right. So yeah, just keep doing what you're doing.
brilliant, brilliant. Well, it's been absolutely fascinating to talk to you. And for anyone that's interested in getting in touch with you or your company, what would be the best way to do that, Amy?
Yeah, you can go to the website, which is cyberescaperoom.co, so .co on the end, or look me up on LinkedIn. It's Amy Stokes-Waters.
Yeah, yeah, with that many contacts, I mean, goodness gracious me, well, look, thank you so much for your time today. It'd be great to swing by in another 6, 12 months and just see how things have developed, especially internationally. I'm always fascinated by both UK and abroad about how things develop and
Mhm.
maybe any learnings from working overseas, which I think would be great to share if that's okay with you.
That sounds great.
Brilliant. Well, once again, thank you so much for your time today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.